What's up, everybody? This is Jerry Tingu Smith,
And I'm Sean Bearded Kappa Litton.
and we are the Yokai Delinquents podcast. And today we actually have a very special guest for you. As we said in a previous episode, um, delinquents like to ruffle some feathers occasionally, fight with each other, and then become great friends with their enemies. So we stepped on over to a rival school and beat some folks up and wrestled around, and we've made a new friend. James, go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Hey everybody, I'm James. Mr. Mighty Duck is what I normally go by on the interwebs. I just appreciate you guys letting me come on the show. I listened to the first two episodes; they're really good. I do agree with you, Jerry. I just want to throw that out real quick. Digimon the anime is much better than Pokemon. I'm just saying.
Oh wow!
Yes,
Wow!
yes, you hear that?
I just want to get that out there real quick.
We're gonna kick it off like that, are we? Well, I'll have you know, not only are you the first guest, but you're given the finest example of how to get kicked off the show by agreeing with Jerry over me, because I control the power back here.
That's true. I didn't think about that. No, but yeah, no. I've known you guys for a little while now through Kapow Comics, our local comic shop, and yeah, I mean, we just I know I met Jerry first through. I think I was going in for a little while, and I think it was actually because I was trying to think about this today. I think Jerry put me on Jeff Lemire's stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
good stuff.
And I'm pretty sure it was Green Arrow's run when he was doing the run of Green Arrow, and Jerry was just like, if you're into this stuff, maybe take a look at this, and I was blown away, and so ever since then I would actually listen to Jerry. Seemed to know what he was talking about.
He has his moments, that's for sure.
Yeah, it happens occasionally.
And then I guess the really big thing that he finally was able to put me on was My Hero Academia.
Oh yeah.
He would talk about it constantly every time I was in the shop, and finally I remember I was at a bookstore and I wanted to buy a volume of a manga, and I had two choices that I decided to choose from. It was either the first volume of My Hero or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
That's interesting.
Jerry. Yeah, I remember texting Jerry, and I was just like, "All right, you can pick one. Which do you pick?" And he was like, "Go with My Hero." So I went with My Hero.
Yeah.
And man, I was hooked from volume one.
Oh yeah, it's a very good manga and anime.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, okay, James.
So, yeah.
Well.
No,
Sorry,
go ahead.
I was going to say, well, you are the first guest, so you are about to set the standard. As you know, we are just a free-form conversational podcast, so we're giving you first topic. What you want to talk about?
Oh man. And these guys, this was the great thing about this. These guys don't even know what I'm gonna say here.
Nah, man.
So all right, so this is what I've been doing recently. I have decided to run through the entirety of the MCU.
Oh.
And do a definitive, James Dorris ranking, because the last, I'd say probably 5 Marvel movies that released, I just wasn't into. Like, I think maybe I was coming down with like superhero fatigue or something, and I just was not into those movies. And I just went out on the MCU, or at least this latest phase, just kind of on a low note. And now that they're all out and they're all done, and I decided, you know what? I'm curious. Will my thoughts on any of them change? And so I started from the beginning and I ran through, and sure enough, there were movies that I remember really enjoying that I thought, oh, it's not as good as I remember. And there were movies that I remember not liking that it turns out are much better than I remember. So what I thought I would do was read through my MCU ranking And I wondered if you guys would tell me where I went wrong and where I went right.
We're always down to correct you on your opinion.
Right. All right, so I have at number 1, Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Now this is number 1, your top of the list, the cream of the
crop.
Top
of the list.
Cream of the crop.
Winter Soldier.
Crop,
Winter Soldier. I think out of every Marvel movie on this list, it's the one film that can stand alone as it can be a superhero movie, but it can also just be a movie.
Right.
I mean, you can go in watching that without it really being a superhero movie. It's got the spy stuff. It's just, I love it. The action is fantastic. So Captain America: Winter Soldier, number 1.
Now you see, here's my thing. If I can chime in on this one real quick.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Winter Soldier is argued to make a comparison that people can call it that's the Empire Strikes Back of the Captain America trilogy, and for the most part they're not wrong, because it's definitely a little more serious and, like you said, kind of stands on its own. Personally, I'm a Civil War guy over Winter Soldier, but I get that. I can see why it could be a lot of people's number 1. It's not mine personally.
Right.
How about you, Jerry?
Jerry, what do you got to say?
Me personally, my number 1, everyone knows Iron Man 2. It's the best in the entire.
Oh my God! Talk about unpopular opinions.
No, my biggest thing about the Captain America series and Winter Soldier in particular is I'm not like a huge sort of like espionage type person. I don't like a lot of and people can tell me that I'm wrong about it all day. Mission Impossible or the James Bond series. I don't know. Those never really did it for me necessarily. So I don't know. Winter Soldier was it was up there. Don't get me wrong.
It may be in my top 5, but not number 1 for me.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. But it's also kind of those characters I'm not overly hype about and everything. They're all great characters, but as far as the MCU is concerned,
personally, I think that their use of Black Widow kind of brought it down for me. She just
really,
I think she was just kind of there to make doe eyes at Captain America and kind of be a little bit of a damsel in stress. But the stuff with Bucky, the history and all that kind of stuff was fine. But that's just my little nitpicks. It's a damn good film.
And all the stuff with Sam, I love the evolution of his character. He was great.
Right. So you're wrong.
Okay,
so number 2.
Maybe I should have started at the bottom.
You're good. You're good.
Let's go with number 2. Let's go with number 2. My second favorite. Okay. The original Avengers.
Ooh.
I think, man, I talk about setting the tone for the. I mean, I know Iron Man. It's great. It obviously, was the first, but man, the emotions I get when I see those characters finally come together on the screen.
Oh yeah,
man. No other movie I don't think has done that for me, because all the rest of them are almost like when you get to Civil War, you see them together, but they're fighting against each other, and I don't want to see that. I wanted to see them team up, And that was the first one when you get to properly see these characters team up and really. It's just awesome. I love it.
And you've got a culmination of so many films stacking into this one that just makes it that much better. And I mean, that was kind of what the buildup was for, right? I mean, you've got the so many more years of buildup for Endgame and all that stuff, but this was basically their first all right, we're either gonna hit really hard or we're just gonna completely just it's not going to be worth it, but they pretty much nailed it with that movie when it came out.
And you see, for all the reasons you just gave, is why it's my number 1 over Winter Soldier, because it's the culmination. It's the money shot for the first half of the MCU. This is what we built for originally, up until we started building towards Thanos, which they also been doing. But at first, you can't as great as Winter Soldier is. None of it. There's no moment in that movie that compares to that first pan around circle shot of all the Avengers together.
My gosh, I know.
So for me, that's why again you're wrong. I promise that's the last harping of your time. But for me, Avengers is my number one as a single movie because we'll get to the other ones later. But for me, that's currently still my number one because that money shot alone for that phase was topped everything that we've seen.
Absolutely. So third, I had Civil War.
Yeah.
So it's still high up, not number one, but I mean that is a great movie. And then the introduction of Spider-Man was awesome. Yeah. Next, I had.
I was just gonna quick comment because we're not gonna harp on you about every single choice. But
that's right.
I am a sucker for the everyone together movies, and that's why I really love Civil War. We had Spider-Man debut. We even though they were fighting each other, that's the name of it, Civil War. That airport scene was just amazing.
Does anybody have any orange slices?
Yeah, giant man debut.
Yeah, Ant-Man himself, and just Paul Rudd. I mean, it's just amazing.
Right.
So the addition, the fact that each side got their funny character introduced. I guess not introduced Ant-Man, but he was introduced to the Avengers at that point.
Yeah.
But they each get their kind of funny character introduced to them, and it's just amazing. It's just an amazing film.
Oh, absolutely.
So number 4, I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1.
Yeah. That's
and
fair ranking.
I remember this getting announced, and I knew nothing about these characters. So I look them up, and I immediately was like, this looks stupid. This is a raccoon, a big tree, all this. And when that first trailer released, I was hooked. From there on, I was in, and it did not disappoint.
Oh yeah, that definitely.
That's the best comedy I think of all the movies.
Oh, for sure. I was just gonna say it definitely introduced kind of like Iron Man. Everyone knew Iron Man, but no one cared about Iron Man until the movie. Nobody heard of Guardians of the Galaxy. Your most average comic book fan probably never heard of Guardians until that movie. So yeah, number 4 is a very fair slot for me.
So.
Yeah, definitely.
Go ahead, Jerry. I'm sorry.
I just completely agree. If the characters weren't interesting enough for you, that soundtrack absolutely sold it. It was a great soundtrack for that movie. Yeah.
Yes. At number 5, I had the first Ant-Man. Another movie. Yeah, another movie where I thought just the comedy was it just hit. I don't think any jokes to me fell flat. I think everybody is the acting is just great in that movie, and Paul Rudd just killed it.
Yeah, and it's honestly the Ant-Man series has been higher on my list. It's interesting. I just really like the dynamic of it and how he's just a father that's just trying to do the right thing, and he just keeps ending up in these situations and stuff. And Paul Rudd just absolutely killed that role.
I like the movie, but I got a one or two that should be above in my opinion. I'll yell at you about that later when we get to them. Keep going.
Trust me, as this thing gets lower, it gets pretty controversial. So the next one, I actually was torn if I wanted it to go above Ant-Man or not, but I went ahead and put Ant-Man above it. But I've got Spider-Man Homecoming next. That, to me, was by far the best Spider-Man movie, including all the old ones.
Right.
And I think, actually, here's a controversial opinion, I think, or I've been told recently, because I've also been doing a rewatch of the Marvel movies that aren't part of the MCU, like the old Spider-Man. And I actually am a very big fan of Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I actually like him over everybody. He's my favorite, but I think Tom Holland just nailed everything about the character. Where Tobey Maguire nailed some things and Andrew Garfield nailed some things, I think Tom Holland just was able to get it all right.
I've always been, my opinion is that I thought Tobey Maguire was a great Peter Parker. Andrew Garfield was a great Spider-Man.
Yes.
Tom Holland is a perfect character. He is everything. Yes. And I would rank
Absolutely.
personally this one's above Ant-Man for me. Much as I like Ant-Man, don't think I'm knocking it, but now Homecoming is a damn. It's like it was number one for a while until like kind of going back. I still like it, but I mean that's like my number 2 MCU film.
Hmm.
Yeah. Wholeheartedly agree on that because I mean I know Sean and I saw that one together and we were just like that was a fucking comic book film, like
Hmm.
100%. Yeah, it was great. Just how they handled all the villains and all the characters
Oh,
in general. Yeah, so great.
dude, the I thought Michael Keaton was just phenomenal. The scene when they're in the car and he's doing his dad talk to Peter,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's also like, but he's got the gun out and everything. I'm genuinely like scared for Peter at that moment because
Oh yeah.
of Michael Keaton's like that gravelly voice that he has, and oh man, that's such a great movie. Such a great movie.
And they made Bokeem Woodbine freaking shocker, which I
Yes.
will never be sad about. Like they need to bring that character back. I swear to God.
Yes,
Like I just need him
absolutely.
more. Yeah.
So I've got Doctor Strange next.
Oh wow. I don't think most
Yeah,
people would rank it that high.
I know, and that there's something about that movie. Again, I think, which I mean, Marvel does this, but they just nailed casting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I thought Benedict Cumberbatch was phenomenal. I thought I think one of the problems that a lot of those origin movies in the MCU have is that they pit the main character against another one of them, basically. So you've got like Iron Man against a bigger Iron Man, and you've got,
Ironmonger,
you know what I
right?
mean?
Yeah.
But in this one, he had to go up. You think he's going up against the other, magician dudes, but then you have that amazing Dormammu, scene where it's like where he just starts screwing with Dormammu,
Right.
Yeah.
and it's like to me, watching it the first time, it completely threw me off guard, and I was like, okay, that I was not expecting. But I just love. I think the effects in that movie, the stuff that they're able to do was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was essentially what like if they did Inception, but as a superhero movie.
Yes.
It felt like.
Yeah, out of all the films I didn't get to see in theaters, that's the one I was saddest about. Because
yeah.
I can only imagine what a visual spectacle it would have been in a full big theater.
Hmm.
Right?
And I'm not a fan of 3D, but I heard that one probably, I feel like that one probably would have been pretty cool in 3D.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So next I have Infinity War.
Oh,
All right.
Yeah, this was the end battle, I think, is one of the best. I think it tops Endgame's end battle. Just because I know, you've got a lot of emotion in that end scene from Endgame, but man, this one, when you think, it just sucks because you think everybody's, you think we're gonna have a happy ending, and then you don't get your happy ending.
yeah.
But then you get to see all these characters. It's similar to Civil War, and it's exactly what an Avengers movie should be, which is you get to see these characters that normally don't team up, and now they're getting to team up alongside each other. Like, Black Widow is next to Black Panther's. Oh gosh,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just stuff like that. I really like that movie.
See, I've been like we've had these discussions at the comic book shop, and I even redid the MCU on my Facebook reviews and stuff not too long ago, and especially going back, I'll agree that this one I think Endgame is overall a better movie than, or I mean, Infinity War, sorry, is a better film overall than Endgame. But I'll go ahead and say it now. That last the last 30 minutes, the last act from the second the trio took on Thanos until the end credits is damn near better than the entire MCU alone. But as a whole movie, it has some flaws with the retread and all that. Didn't really work for me. But from the moment, like I always compare it to the Arlong Park fight in One Piece when they're about ready to go whoop some ass. From the time Thor gets into his uniform and they're about to go march down to fight Thanos, from that to the on your left, I'll still argue for Endgame.
Yeah.
That sequence alone is the greatest moment in the entire MCU. But Endgame is a better film overall. Or I mean, sorry, I said it again. Infinity War is a better film overall.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay, so are you? I'm sorry, Joey. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say, like, oh yeah, the feels and that, and like it was also kind of one of those things, that was essentially the first time they ever really failed, right? Like,
Yeah,
they
Yeah.
they didn't save the world. Like,
Should've
I
aimed
mean,
for the
I guess
head.
you can, yeah, you could argue that the end of Civil War was kind of nobody winning or whatever,
Sure.
but yeah, like Endgame, like they lost their battle, and that was the first time, and they weren't used to losing. They didn't take it very well.
Mm-mm.
Right on.
All right, so now comes when things start getting real controversial. I think
Mm-hmm.
I have Age of Ultron next.
Oh my god.
Oh,
I know.
Jeez.
I've heard this before. There's
You
something
come
about
on to
that
all
movie.
podcasts with this opinion.
There's something about that movie. I thought. I feel like it was a pretty decent follow up to Avengers, and it has funny moments, and also, I mean, you can argue there too that they didn't necessarily win. I mean, they won in the end, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of a lot of things that go wrong at the end of that movie.
Right.
And I mean, that's one of the moments that starts Civil War. Also,
right.
the whole Sokovia stuff. But yeah, I know it's not the most liked movie, but there's something about it. It just gets me.
When I revisited it, there was definitely a few more highlights than I remembered after watching it the first time. But yeah, definitely the weakest of the Avengers series of movies.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. I appreciated all the characters and stuff were in it. But I mean, damn, did they do Quicksilver wrong in that film?
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if it was like I don't know, was it some sort of like FU to Fox? Like.
Yeah. Like, and I mean, it was kind of weird because it was like one of those things where they were almost competing that year, right? Because isn't that the
Right.
same year that was it Days
Days of Future Past? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, where we got like the great Quicksilver scenes in that movie.
Mhm.
And they were just like, I don't know, it felt like MCU should have brought their game and showed that they could have done a better Quicksilver, but
Sure.
whatever. But, yeah.
So now I've got Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yeah.
I like this. I really like this movie. I thought which I like Captain America though, so I'm just a sucker for Cap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
But I like it. It's got great sidekick. It's got great. I liked Tommy Lee Jones was in it.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely has some good moments. I think it's one of the slower origin films, but not the worst one. But it does suffer from the origin film, kind of slowness to it. But yeah, out of
Sure.
compared to like say the first Thor movie, which we'll be getting to, it's definitely one of the better ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, was Captain America the second film that we got in the MCU? Or was it Thor?
No,
Thor
it was like third or fourth.
Okay. I guess third actually sounds right. Or was it after Iron Man 2?
It may have been after Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about that one, are we?
Oh, yes. No, not for a little bit, but yes, we're going to talk about it. All right, so now I've got another very controversial, and I'm just going to throw them right back to back so we can just get it on out of the way. Next, I have Iron Man 3 and then Iron Man 1.
Oh.
You have
Go ahead and give it to me.
You have
I have
Iron Man 3 after
above
Iron
Iron
Man 1?
No, sir.
He's saying Iron Man 3
they're-
is the best one of his trilogy, is what he's saying.
Yes. But immediately following is Iron Man 1. That's why I wanted to get. I just want you. Let me have it. Go ahead and let me have it.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
it's been great having you on, and we're gonna have to cut this show short. No, like don't get it wrong. When I revisited the MCU, I didn't hate 3 as much as I did when I first saw it, because once the Mandarin letdown is out there, you can once you know that's there, you can kind of try to find the rest of the what you can appreciate in that film. And there's still not much, especially compared to Iron Man 1. And you want a controversial opinion. I don't think Iron Man 2 is that bad. It's higher on my list than yours. I know.
Is it really?
I enjoyed that film.
Man, yeah. I mean, I guess after you, get over the hurt and it's not really there anymore of the Mandarin thing, which, to be fair, going into that film, I already kind of had a feeling because of all of the trailers and everything that there was nothing, showing the Mandarin using like the rings and stuff like that. I had a feeling. I was like, they're not gonna leave their big bad out of the trailer, so I think there's something else there. And yeah,
right.
So it wasn't as big a letdown because of that. I think Iron Man 2 was probably my biggest letdown. I mean, it already wasn't like a great film, but like, I was also so hyped out of like what they've done already that I was like, just trying to like draw in like everything that I could for this movie because I was getting excited for it. And I've watched every fucking clip that they had, so there was like no part of that movie that I didn't know about by the time I watched it. So
and
already making like a not great movie like worse for
but
me.
Like with Iron Man 1, like I kind of agree where his spot though as far as on the list in general. Because I mean, it deserves all the kudos for kicking off the MCU, not counting the Hulk. Some people are still iffy about they count Incredible Hulk or not as part of the MCU, even though technically it is by only literally the last 5 minutes or whatever. But with the cast and rechange, I know sometimes people don't count it in there. But Iron Man, it really set the stage. It set the standard. But kind of going back, meh, it's kind of slow origin.
Yeah, it is, and that's what I've been trying. Like, I have another friend who I've been talking to. He's been following my ranking as I did it, and I rewatched Iron Man, and as much as I love it, and again, like you said, you got to give it kudos for doing what it did for the whole MCU, but it's slow. It's slow, and but I mean, Robert Downey Jr. This rewatch made me love Tony Stark even more,
right?
And that's why I think I put Iron Man 3 over 1 because I liked seeing him just like emotionally done. By like the middle of that movie, he is just like emotionally just a wreck, and I like seeing him pull himself back up from that.
Right.
And literally, and I like seeing him be have to cobble all that stuff together from nothing, showing that he is just this freaking genius. And he can, it doesn't matter what he's got, he can make it work,
Right.
So I like seeing all that.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Right. What you
so
got
yeah,
next?
so I had Iron Man 3, then 1. But now I've got Endgame after that.
This is why you're a terrible person.
I remember walking out of Endgame and genuinely being disappointed because it just didn't. And again, I think I was just fatigued because I watch these movies opening night, and I'm reading comics all throughout the year, and I'm watching anything that comes on TV. I mean, it's all superheroes, and finally, by the time I got to it, it didn't hit me like I think it should have, and I really expected it to be further down on this list, just knowing that. But then I watched it, and man, I was emotional by the end of that movie.
Oh yeah,
like it hit me hard, man. And so I was like, okay, no, this is much better than I remember it being.
Yeah, I can understand some people not putting it higher on their list as a movie as a whole. But the only thing I'm really judging you on is that you put it below Iron Man 3 and even Iron Man 1. Because I know. The retread is cute and all, and it was fun the first time, but on second viewing, like, okay, I mean, other than the Hulk that's sarcastically smashing, which was still hilarious as hell, but like, I can kind of see on the second time viewing it, it didn't hit as hard until the Arlong Park moment. until the trio, and then I don't care what you mean. Like, unfortunately, that doesn't make the entire movie good, but that's from there to the ending is still better than anything in the entire MCU to me.
I mean, I'll argue that, but like, because you and I are pretty big fans of like Kurosawa films and stuff like that, and
Oh
he
yeah.
does like a really good job of like build up throughout the movie and then a really big conclusion type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean honestly, like yeah, I feel like the build up was well worth that scene at the end.
Hmm.
Like I
Sure.
just went back and watched everything. I think where did I start? I think I just went ahead and started from like Infinity War, and then I watched everything up to like Far From Home.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so
All right. What you got
yeah.
next?
Next, I have Guardians 2.
Hmm. Which yeah,
Um,
I would agree.
I get why.
I
Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead, Sean.
I was gonna say like I've had this argument a lot. I don't hate Guardians 2 like a lot of people do. I don't think it's as good and revolutionary as the first one, but I think it's on par. I think it's
Mm.
again it would be higher than Iron Man 1 and 3 on my list personally. It wouldn't be higher than Endgame, but yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed part 2. I thought it showed some character growth. I mean, not like leaps and bounds and huge arcs, but I like how they did try to explore the characters a little bit more in that one.
Sure. Um, Next, I have Ant-Man and the Wasp. Again, I mean, I think exactly what I said for Ant-Man fits with this. It's just a fun movie.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Those are just fun movies.
yeah,
yeah, and
um,
seeing
no,
more
go
of
ahead.
his relationship with his daughter and everything was
Sure.
really great. And then like the addition of Wasp's character and everything was really great for that movie. And how
Mhm.
they're a team, and she makes that comment about like, oh yeah, if I was there for you, when Civil War was happening, then you wouldn't have gotten caught or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty great.
right.
And then and plus we got that freaking hilarious scene in the school.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
It was like a mini
but
I love that.
but that after credits scene though too is pretty gut wrenching in that one.
Oh yes, yes,
Yeah.
Where he's just lost in the void.
Hmm.
yeah. So the next one is one that, again, similar to Endgame, I came out really disappointed in, or not disappointed, just not liking it as much as I thought I would. And originally, I would have ranked it much lower down the list, actually. But after watching it again, I actually really enjoyed it, and that's Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I really like that movie, and actually, I also rewatched it. This rewatch happened after Chadwick Boseman passing.
Right.
And I think that, just knowing what he went through during all this, I'm watching that movie and I'm starting to get a little choked up by the end of it,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
just kind of, yeah, but yeah, that's an amazing, and what an amazing, like, just world that they were setting up, with Wakanda and everything, man. I loved it.
Yeah, but so let me ask though, because like you have like I mean technically you got his origin in Civil War, but there was still a lot to explain in this one. But why is it so low on the list though?
Well, it's just, I just think the other ones for me, like the ones that are up further, just to me have a better blend of what I'm going in and kind of expecting from a Marvel movie, which is great action, great comedy, and just good, like, character moments and stuff. Hopefully development, depending on what, movie you're watching. And I think this one was much more on the serious side.
Right.
And I just think, all, like, the few origin, I guess, the few first movies that are high up on my list are Ant-Man, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange. All the other ones were fairly low, in the middle. All the the origin movies.
Right. Yeah,
So it it just kind of suffers, I guess, from that. I guess that just it being the first movie
right.
in a series,
Right. Now, like what
well,
we've discussed before on our, back when we were on the Southern Fried Geekery podcast, because we did a whole special when this movie came out. Like, the cultural significance of it, you can't deny. It was a big moment for like black cinema, black creators, writers,
oh sure,
all that, and not taken away from any of that. But like for me, it wouldn't be as low as on your list, but it's definitely middle tier for me, and that's mainly because I think it suffers from the fact that the lead is not the strongest character in this movie, because like Shuri was a scene stealer, Okoye was great, Killmonger, like arguably one of the best MCU villains, but that's all well and good, but when your lead like T'Challa was just, I don't know, for me, he was not as interesting of a hero. So, I mean, I keep it higher than Iron Man 3. And I'm going to keep going back to this.
I told you that's where the controversy was really going to start.
So controversial. We're going to lose subscribers after this episode. But no.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal film. And yeah, I definitely think it would be higher on my list. Like, I feel like I enjoyed it even more like the last time I watched it than the first time I watched it.
Right.
Just seeing that the world that they built and everything that it did was really, really well done. And it's just kind of sad to think that we'll never get like another T'Challa Black Panther film. So it kind of makes me happy that they did use that character as much as they did, in was it Civil War and in Endgame and Infinity War and everything.
Oh, for sure. So, and considering what he was going through, I mean, Boseman, he did it, man. He was in all that stuff, going through what he went through. So rest in peace on him for sure.
Absolutely.
So what you got next?
Next, I've got Far From Home.
Right.
Another one I think that was suffering for me from just fatigue. Came out a little disappointed in it. Definitely not as good as the first one. And even still watching it now, I didn't get as much enjoyment as I thought I would get out of it. That's why it ranks kind of low. What about you guys?
Go for it, Jerry.
Okay. Yeah. No, I was pretty stoked about this film coming out and everything. And then you've got the classic trope of like Marvel getting ready to put their movie out, and they give you a lot of misleading things. It's like, oh, he's from an alternate universe, blah 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 blah, and like it's one of those things that you really can't look too into or like expect too much because they're gonna like do a 180 on you with how they did with Mysterio and everything, and like it was an interesting film because it was following Endgame and all of the events and everything that happened to it. So I kind of liked that they could sort of tone it back down for us and get us back down to earth with Peter Parker and everything after all this shit has gone down and some of these people have like blinked and like aged and stuff like that. Like I think they have one guy in their class that's like he didn't, so he's like way older, but they stopped school because so he's back in with the same class. So you've got like this dude that's probably in his like early 20s that's like in the same class as all of these high schoolers. But then what they did with Mysterio was really cool too, and how they brought in all of those other like elementals and stuff without technically bringing them in. Pretty interesting. I like I said, since I went back and just watched a bunch of those films, like it was pretty nice. It's still fresh in my mind, so I don't know. Yeah, really enjoyed that one. I don't know if it would be as as high as the first one or anything, but yeah, no, I enjoyed it. The Spider-Man films have continued to be like really just fun comic booky type films.
All right, look. Everyone complained about the first movie having too much Iron Man, so they took care of that in the second one.
No, they took care of that in Endgame.
Right. My biggest complaint is Spider-Man should always be the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So a world tour didn't do much for me, but how they did Mysterio was fucking perfection. Because the comic book of just gas that makes you do special effects is there's no way to pull that off. So the whole drones thing was just a magnificent play. Definitely not as good as the first one, and not to sound like a broken record, better than Iron Man 3.
Oh boy! Well, then you're gonna really like the next one then.
Yep.
I've got Thor Ragnarok next on my list.
Yeah, you're dead to me. Ragnarok's in
A
my
lot of
top
people
5.
put this, a lot of people put this at the near the top, and even though I liked it, I liked the action in it and the comedy and stuff, but there's just something. There's just something about it. I don't know.
There's just something missing, like a fucking horse-faced version of Thor or something.
Oh yes,
no, I can't quite place it.
Look, you got the Colosseum statue. That's all. That's as good as he deserves. I mean, what wasn't? What was missing for you? Comedy, action, amazing soundtrack. Chris Hemsworth having actual personality, not just being a pretty blonde man. I mean, character growth with the Hulk and all these extra new characters. I mean, yeah, terrible fucking movie, James.
Oh yeah, okay. I mean, I get that's fine. That's fine. I get it. I get it.
As our good friend Craig says, you're entitled to your opinion, no matter how wrong it is.
There you go. Yeah.
I mean. See, so on this film, I was in the negative on it whenever I first saw it. I did not really like it that much. I thought it had too much comedy and points that it was like, okay, we don't need to have comedy every 5 minutes, and that's what they did. And like that was kind of the thing because at the beginning they had the whole scene with Surtur, which was pretty badass, and then right after that, their dad died, and then 5 seconds later there was just more comedy and stuff, and it's like, come on, just give us a good little bit of feeling for a minute, Anthony Hopkins just died in this film, for God's sakes.
I mean, I think I've heard that said, and maybe I'm nitpicking on your point, but yeah, he died. They were sad. 5 seconds later, Hela comes and fucks them up. It's still sadness and drama. We don't get into the comedy until the banishment. I think there was plenty of time between them, but again, you're entitled to what you like and what you don't like.
But also, I've watched it since then, and I think with each watching of it, it's gotten better for me. If that's a possibility,
I think that's
for someone to have.
I think that's been a general consensus. I loved it from the jump. I was having a great time in that movie because I've hated the Thor trilogy until that one.
Yeah. And I don't know if it completely brought it back to me because they still haven't brought it back. But I mean, that's kind of right. The point. We're definitely getting him in the next movie, right, guys? Right?
Sure.
Right.
So now I have Iron Man 2.
That's fair. We can move on now.
I can.
What's the next one? No, I'm just kidding.
I used to hate this. Used to be bottom of the list for me. Anybody would ask me, "What's your least favorite Marvel movie?" I always told them Iron Man 2. But after rewatching it, I thought, you know what, this really isn't as bad as I thought it was. I really like Sam Rockwell in it as Hammer.
Yep.
I thought Tony Stark was great. I just thought everybody was actually really good. I don't mind Mickey Rourke. I thought he played the character okay, and then we get I thought Rhodey was good. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's not as bad as what I remembered it.
Yeah, that's the first one we got Don Cheadle as Rhodey, right?
Yeah.
Yep, it is. Yeah,
and I know a lot of people didn't like Rourke's Russian accent, but let's be honest. The MCU has never been known for their Eastern European accents on any of their top level actors. They all sound like you still can't tell me that the Scarlet Witch has a good one. We just appreciate the push up bra, and we forgive.
That's probably why. That's probably why they tried phasing it out in the.
Right. Oh, they downplayed it.
Infinity War and stuff. It's like she didn't even have an accent. Infinity War.
Oh yeah. They pretty much dropped them. Just like Princess Leia was British for the first scene of Star Wars, and then never again. But I mean, I can understand why it's low on a lot of people's lists. Don't get me wrong. As much as I defend it, it's still not in my top 5 or barely making the top 10, if at all. But man, you still, low 5 or you still haven't listed a movie. And I might have to tear into you on this one. Keep going. Sorry.
Are you not? It might be next. It might be next though. Captain Marvel.
Yep, that's the one.
That's the one.
Really, really this low.
Yes. I didn't think I liked the scrolls.
Yeah.
I thought that was setting up some awesome stuff. And I liked Captain Marvel. I really didn't. I don't know. There was something about her acting just didn't do it for me. Jude Law didn't do it for me. I think my favorite thing in the movie is when either she's interacting with her friend and the daughter.
Yeah.
I thought they were great. Or if Coulson was interacting with like Nick Fury. I like seeing Coulson and Nick Fury again.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I didn't think the action was really that great. And it just didn't do it for me. Now, why am I wrong, Sean?
I will say before Sean makes his point, that it did kind of suffer for that whole origin story thing of them having to find themselves and be as strong as they can be and stuff. But it gave a lot of really good, I mean, honestly, for me, touching feels just like, seeing throughout the movie them making Carol Danvers who she is, and her having these like memories, and they're always like her falling down, and then like you get to the very end of it, and the whole point of the story is like the person that she is the person that always gets back up,
Yep.
And like that was just like, yeah, amazing. Like from that point, like it was so great.
For me, best origin film in the MCU.
Really?
It is. I think it's. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's top 10, not top 5 of movies, but great on the curve of an origin film is the most interesting one for me. I think granted we had the typical memory loss thing, which is standard in a lot of things. I just thought the action was good. I thought the pacing was excellent. I didn't feel like the movie dragged. Her and Samuel L. Jackson had a great chemistry together. Their scenes together were entertaining. The '90s throwback. And I know I'm not saying anybody in this chat, I'm assuming, was rubbed the wrong way about the whole girl power thing. I know that rubbed the internet the wrong way, but fuck all of them.
Oh, no.
The biggest ball drop they did on that one, because it was set in the 90s, and, if you paid attention to the soundtrack, every one of them was from a 90s era female-led band, until they had to do Nirvana. And you want an unpopular opinion, Nirvana fucking sucked.
I'm right there with you, Sean.
And throwing it, now granted, the Come As You Are was a fitting name for that scene, but I was like, they had to throw in Nirvana because 90s. But for me, like I think she did excellent. I think Jude Law was pretty good. I've seen Jude Law be better, don't get it wrong, but like the Skrulls, I can't think of the lead Skrull guy. He fucking killed every scene he was in, and like, overall, I think it's the best origin film in the MCU.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, thinking about it, like I could get down with that probably, because
And I don't count like Guardians as an origin film, because that was like a character grouping thing. You know what I mean? I mean like solo hero origin film.
Yeah, sure. And you also don't really want to group. Was it Homecoming in as an origin film, because he was already technically that character and everything. He just finally got the suit from Tony Stark.
I would argue it was barely an origin film, because they really just skated through the origin, as they should for Spider-Man at this point.
Oh my God.
So I don't think of Homecoming when I think of origin films at all.
But no.
Was that it?
Thought it was...
No, there's still some more in there.
Nope, we've got 3 more.
Okay.
Oh man,
let's
if you
get to it.
Captain Marvel,
I'll just run those really fast.
Right on.
Throw them all out. Here we go. Next, we've got Thor.
Yeah.
Then we've got the Incredible Hulk, and then we've got Thor 2: The Dark World.
Now, Thor 2 is definitely fitting on the bottom.
Yeah, and that is it. That is my definitive ranking of the MCU. A bit controversial, but
you were wrong on many occasions, but I still respect you and what you've done as a film critic. But I mean that's the thing. Well, we tell a lot of people too, like whenever we discuss our top whatevers, it could change next week. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it really is just your mood or what you're burnt out on, like you said before, or what Guardians 2 may not have worked at all for you when you first saw it, but revisiting it, you liked it better. I've heard some people say that. So, but Thor 1 down there, Thor 2 definitely. Hulk, again, I would put that over Iron Man 3. I think the Incredible Hulk was a very entertaining film. Iron Man 3, and granted, I've only seen it maybe twice, and the problem with that one is whatever is good in Iron Man 3, I can't even tell you right now. It didn't stick.
Oh man,
It's a lot lower in my list.
let me ask you this: if Mark Ruffalo was playing the Hulk in Incredible Hulk instead of Edward Norton, would you have liked it more? You think?
no.
No.
No,
I'll actually agree with him on that too.
Because I didn't mind Edward Norton.
Yeah.
I like Mark Ruffalo. It's just,
Mhm.
I think if you change any casting, and I love her, but Liv Tyler was not good in that movie.
I mean,
There
she
was
was barely
absolutely
there
no
in the
chemistry.
movie.
Yeah.
I mean, she was
True.
barely in the movie. I mean, like as far as her presence, as far as the way she was written, I don't put that on Liv Tyler. But I'll agree with you. Yeah, I mean, like,
Sure.
yeah, but like, I think Edward Norton, if he could quit being a fucking asshole, no, he could be one of the best actors in the world. But he's a notoriously an asshole. And that movie for me, and granted, I'm not the biggest Hulk guy. I'm enjoying the current Immortal Hulk, but like, I'm not. All I want from Hulk is Hulk smash, and I think Incredible Hulk delivered on that more so than some of his appearances in the MCU with the Ruffalo.
Hey, remember that one time they had him fighting lightning?
You don't talk about Gary Busey father issues. His not absorbing man. I still preferred it when he fought Hulk poodles.
Oh God!
Oh my God!
The dog, the Hulk dog. I mean, yeah, they gave us Abomination, so that was pretty fucking cool.
I thought, and oh Lord, I'm gonna forget the actor's name now. Him as the Abomination. I actually really liked his character.
Yeah,
I'm also just a big fan for him.
Right. And like, do you guys remember that there were things going around of there being like a little like secret thing in there with like Spider-Man being in that scene whenever they first clashed? Do you know how many times? Yeah, I paused that movie and like rewound it so many times looking for that. You know, it was never there.
Quick thing, Tim Roth. Tim Roth is the Abomination
because
he also like in his human form. I really liked his character, the way he's acting, and you know him and Norton did the motion capture for all their transform. So he also was. I think he was great as the Abomination to those fight sequences. That's what I wanted in a Hulk movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean like they even had a lead up for for the leader, right?
Yeah.
Like. Yeah, which I thought that was pretty bold of them to do.
oh, for sure. The hint at the possible, and I still hope they come back because I just closed the page. I'm not about to open the tab again. That actor, Looking Glass from Watchmen, from Oh Brother Where Art Thou, him as the leader,
Tim Blake Nelson.
There you go. Him as the leader, I'm 100% down for. I hope they keep that casting, even though I know they recast so many. I hope they keep. I would love that they keep him.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like the one casting that they've stuck with through all the movies, right, was William Hurt as Thunderbolt Ross, correct?
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
he did return, and that's
And they haven't brought back any of those characters.
Oh yeah. So well, here's the real question, the hard hitting question. I'm gonna ask you, James, as our guest on this show.
Okay.
Have we changed your mind on any of these?
No, absolutely not.
Damn it. And that's good because again, it's all fun when people tend to take lists, these top 10s and top whatever for MCU, like 20 plus films, a little too seriously because it's all a matter of opinion, and you shouldn't let anyone change your mind except yourself as you grow and change and all that. So, no, that's a great list.
Well,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
The reason I kind of wanted this to be the topic was. There are a lot of times when I will be talking to somebody and we will be going through, like, say it's a movie and they're throwing stuff at me that I'm like, you know what? That's actually not a bad idea. And then it does start changing my opinion of the movie. Just the talk, the talk between people can change at least my opinion of something.
Oh, absolutely. Now there's a difference between someone, yelling at you saying you're wrong and you agreeing. And like what I was doing this entire list, and someone showing a different way of looking at a scene. I mean, I've had people point out stuff like that before, like, yeah, but did you ever consider this kind of subtext or this way of looking at the thing? And you go back, you're like, man, they're right, and that will change your opinion on it. So
I will say, just going off of that, the one that you may have just the talk, and what you were we're talking about was Captain Marvel. That one, I may have to go and revisit that to and look at it more of and things that you were saying and see if it's something maybe it makes it maybe it moves up a couple on the list. Who knows?
I'd also argue you need to go look at Ragnarok again.
I know.
But no, I get that though. I get why people, because Thor never, as much as he had his quips like all heroes, like in the comics and whatnot. I mean, I always brutalize his name, the director Taika Waititi.
Oh yeah.
You know, known for his comedy, so it was no surprise it's going that level. But I don't know. For me, Ragnarok just finally brought Thor some personality other than looking pretty with a hammer. In the MCU was really all he was really reduced to, and it brought out some of the emotion that I think that transferred over into Infinity War and Endgame. So.
And honestly, I just can't wait for the Snyder cut when we find out that it was supposed to be Beta Ray Bill the entire time and not Thor, you know, so they can finally bring the CG in there and CG Thor how he's supposed to look.
Well, you just wait for Beta Ray Bill to show up, and he's going to be voiced by Gilbert Gottfried. And
yay,
you're just
okay.
going to
I'll take
absolutely
it.
love
Whatever. I don't even give a fuck at this point.
Well, as much as I would like to curse you, like the last time I tried to curse your hopes and dreams for a movie, it turned out to be pretty good, and that was Power Rangers.
Fuck you.
So,
yeah.
Hey, I ended up enjoying that film, but remember we went there, and I'm like, I hope this is your Transformers, you know, because how much Bay ruined my childhood. I wanted this one to ruin yours, and I like that film. That's a whole other topic for another day, gentlemen, and we are about wrapping it up. But yeah, so James, great topic, man. One and done. Like we had one topic, and filled the entire show, and I think that was a great time. I really appreciated you coming on.
Oh man, I appreciate you guys having me on, man.
Yeah, you got any shout outs or anything you want to do?
I mean, you can, you know, I'm Mr. Mighty Duck all over the place. If you want to, you know, look for me on like PlayStation, Xbox, things like that, you're welcome to just Mr. Mighty Duck. And then occasionally I will throw up something on the old YouTube under Talking Nerdy. Mostly we've been kind of doing game stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you want to go and look and subscribe to Talking Nerdy, you know, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'll make sure to drop a link in the description.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Well, that's going to do it. Once again, thank you all for tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe. Check out Talking Nerdy on YouTube as well. And biggest thing, man, share the videos around. You know, pass the word. We appreciate every one of y'all. But that's going to do it for now. So we'll catch y'all later.
Yep. Peace.